All right guys, welcome back. So today on Modern Masters Auto, we have a Whipple powered CL55 and we are going to be adding the VRP Speed E Flex Fuel Kit. And what that kit does is allow your vehicle to run any amount of ethanol based fuel from E15 to full E85, race E85, anything in between at any given time. It automatically adapts to whatever comes into the fuel rail. Very amazing kit. There's a ton of nice things to do. There's an app, it's very awesome. And we will also be putting in 1000cc injectors from Fuel Injector Connection. So without further ado, let's get started. All right guys, we have the Whipple powered CL55. Look at that. We have this intake on it just for testing. It's on a base tune. We wanted to make sure everything was kosher, cooling mods worked, all that stuff. But now we'll be pulling the surge tanks to swap in the bigger injectors and to be adding the flex fuel kit. As you can see, it already has the VRP Whipple kit, VRP Hellcat throttle body, billet snout, VRP block off plates, looped fuel rail, VRP belt wrap kit, bunch of good things. So let's get this taken apart. All right guys, so we have our 1000cc injectors here from Fuel Injector Connections. And then we have our ProFlex command unit for the flex fuel kit. This is your GM style flex fuel sensor. And this is the main wiring harness, injector wiring harness. And there's some odds and ends and doohickeys and all that stuff that comes with it that Rusty is gonna show us how to incorporate the stock fuel rail to go through the flex fuel sensor. And what this system does, it really allows you to pump in E85 at the gas station because the ethanol in pump gas ranges from anywhere from, I've seen it E49 all the way to E85 and above. And with that, if you just had a tune for flex fuel or for E85, it would be for whatever percentage the tuner tuned it for. With this sensor right here and the computer right here, these two things right here, it does all the magic. So this sensor, as the fuel goes through it, it detects the level of ethanol in the fuel and then sends the signal to the computer. And this controls the injector's pulse width to allow more fuel or less fuel depending on the ethanol content. The more ethanol in fuel, the more fuel you need, almost up to like 30 to 40% more fuel based on the amount of ethanol. So you need this computer to say, hey, we have a lot of ethanol in it, let's dump a ton of fuel, or oh, it doesn't have that much ethanol in it now, so let's pull some fuel back. That's what this does, is a full standalone controller for the injectors. And this sensor does all the magic. And you can Bluetooth to this system and it shows you on your phone the current active ethanol content, which is awesome. I love it. I've all these friends going to the pump and filling these containers up with water and fuel to try to gauge what their ethanol content is. And I'm just filling it up and turning my app on, and this bad boy right here tells me exactly how much ethanol is in my fuel. So this kit is amazing. You can get it at vrpspeed.com, link down below.
I'm ready!
So these are held on with a T30, and it's a 7mm clamp in the back that holds it together. So I like to go ahead and get that clamp out of the way. I don't take it off, I just loosen it. I can pop all these off.
See how he broke it loose with the ratchet first? That's what you want to do. I see so many people strip these out and they are hard to come by.
Yeah, this is an electric ratchet. It is not an impact ratchet. It's taken about 10 years for Craig to understand that.
They're all the same to me.
See how you push the button and nothing happens? You have to break it loose first.
They work all the same. And if they don't have that ratcheting part, you don't need it.
The reason why these bolts are so hard to come by is because Craig has used all of them from stripping them with his
I've
impact.
never stripped in him. That's, you just made that up. Tell the truth to the people.
I can't tell a lie.
I must not tell lies.
Wow. I have never once stripped one of these. He's a damn liar. I don't even own a car with these, actually. All mine are billet surge tanks.
All I know is anytime I hear the word Rusty being yelled real loud, I'm not in trouble. Something's broken.
And not by me.
Look how clean this thing is. It's running real efficient.
Spotless.
All right, now we just pop these fuel lines off here. Okay, so before we unbolt the fuel rail, we can go ahead and disconnect the injector clips.
And these injectors have a jumper harness that we won't have to use anymore because the flex fuel harness will take care of that. Ooh, look at that. Looky, looky.
Yeah.
Look at the O-ring rolled over on that one.
I know.
I haven't seen that in a while. Tight fit, tight fit.
All right, now we can slide in our new injectors. And I like to go ahead and lubricate both ends with some Dodger grease. And for anyone who is installing a Whipple kit on their 113K, definitely lubricate these very well, because the runners in the Whipple kit, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the coating that's on them, they're very, very tight fit. So I've seen a lot of people roll over O-rings or tear the O-rings putting their injectors in because there's no lube on there. So make sure they're lubricated very well, especially on that bottom O-ring, so it slides in there much easier. All right, now I can pop these back in. And it would help if I had them facing the correct direction. Our injector clips. One more thing to note while this is out, this is the pressure dampener, and this is a new one. We went ahead and replaced it. New seal, new clip. They leak all the time. So anytime you have a fuel rail out, they're super cheap. You just want to grab one and then pop a new one in there while it's out. Very, very common leak point on these fuel rails. Very easy to change, so it's kind of a while you're in there thing. All right, so now we're gonna slide this fuel rail back in here. And you just want to wiggle these down until you see all those O-rings seat down into those runners. It's not as difficult on the factory blower, but these Whipple runners are very tight. And don't try to just cram them in there with the bolts, because what'll happen is you'll end up just bending this tab down and it won't actually push the injector down into the runner. So make sure with your own eyes you see it sink down in there. And then once they're fully seated, then you can bolt this fuel rail down. Looking pretty good.
All right, guys, you know what time it is. It's time for our commercial break. And today we do not have anybody other than VRP that we want to shout out to. So I have something I wanted to show you guys. While I was in Florida visiting my dad, this was delivered to Rusty, and I didn't know. But this thing is a C63S, no interior, not street legal. Some other shop threw some downpipes on it, they couldn't tune it, and they brought it to us because they want to make it a race car for what, Rusty?
Some 14-hour crazy long race. The driver was very secretive about it. He didn't tell me a whole lot, but basically his biggest worry is he's gonna be driving it very fast for a long amount of time, so we gotta cool this thing down.
So we're gonna do some cooling mods. We're going to do some upgrades so it can breathe, and we get to see our work survive a 14-hour endurance race. We got to do something with these fender flares. The driver wasn't happy with them either, Rusty said, and truthfully, neither am I. So we got to get rid of that. But check out the cool toe points. They have everything marked: toe points, the jack points. I think the exhaust is dumped. Rusty, let's get this thing up in the air and see what it looks like underneath. See, we got some aftermarket springs, heat shielded downpipe on one side. So the heat shielded the downpipe on the one side. Oh, just around the steering shaft a little bit, not the whole downpipe. Maybe if you're going that far, why not wrap the whole thing? Not a fan of the exhaust dumping at the diff. This is an electronic locking diff, so I wouldn't have been cool with that. It's gonna heat it, like get that exhaust further back. Like dump it right, look at all this rim. Dump that shit right there. Anywhere in there.
He said there's a reason they wanted it that way.
Oh really?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Like part of the race or something?
Yeah, something about it being by the tire, the axle and tire or something.
Oh.
Race stuff that, you know.
Yeah, I don't know none of
Super
that.
secret stuff.
Secret squirrel race stuff?
Yeah.
Secret squirrel race stuff, Rusty?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this car is making Rusty sweat. That is not good for his bald spot. Oh goodness. This thing is cool. It's cool. I can't wait to put a little bit of our touch on everything. I probably would have got rid of the electronic parking brakes, but we'll see what they want to do. I like it. 12,000 miles. Let's rip it apart. And guys, if you like this kind of content, you like what we're doing over there, you like seeing cool AMGs like this, if you're like me and you like seeing new AMGs and already ripped apart like my GTS is going to be, then give this video a big thumbs up, go and share it with your friends, and subscribe at this time, because that shows us that you guys are interested as much as we are, and we're going to keep doing these for you. So let's get back to the CL55 and get that thing on some ethanol. Right, Rusty?
Share with your friends. All right, got all of the injectors in and the fuel rail back together. And now we need to start making our fuel line. So the kit does come with multiple different fittings. You will need these two here, and you want this fitting here that is concave, and that is going to go on here where the factory fuel line was, and just spin it on there. That's the fun for right now until I tighten it up. And this one here that has the ball fitting in here is going to go into the fuel rail, and you can see the ball is what seals it, just like the factory steel line that was here. So I'm going to tighten those up, and then we'll start making the fuel line, and I'm going to mount the ethanol sensor right here. Okay, and the VRP kit does come with supplied fuel hose. So all we need to do is slide this. Actually, I'm going to put my clamp on here. So it comes with just regular hose clamps. We like to use the crimp style clamps just because they look a lot cleaner. So we're going to put our hose the whole way on this first fitting, get our clamp on there, and then I'm going to cut it pretty short. This helps support the sensor. And then now we can put our sensor where we want it. Of course, we're going to put our second clamp on there first, and it's going to hold it right there where we want it. And I didn't show this, but the kit also comes with push lock fittings. So it comes with a few 90s, a few straights, just so you can figure out how you want to do it in your application. They just snap on there like that. But now we can go ahead and crimp this. I think I'm actually going to trim this line a little bit shorter, just so it's a little bit more stable for that sensor. Yeah, so that's definitely nice and rigid there, and it'll help keep that sensor held up. I'll probably secure it along here somehow anyway. Typically on like an E class, there's fuel lines and things along here and brake lines that you can zip tie the sensor to help support it. But this is nice and rigid. It's not gonna go anywhere as long as we keep that line nice and short. So I'm gonna go ahead and crimp those two. And now we can snap this in here. And we're just going to loop our fuel line down and around here. Go ahead and grab some clamps. So that fits on there nice and tight. And you don't want to leave it too long. You don't want this hose to hang down and get exposed to too much heat from your exhaust system. So you want just enough to reach right here. So that looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that right about there. Now we can go ahead and crimp our clamps, which makes it nice with these little connections here. I can just pop it off, take care of my clamp, and then pop it back on. And that's really all you need to do for the fuel. Now we just need to get a harness in there. Let me go grab it. And before you get too carried away running the harness and plugging everything in, I like to pre-plan and find a nice home for the module. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to separate this connector right here and just run the harness through here. Looks like there's plenty of room for me to squish that harness in there. And this pulls right up, and I'm just going to hide all of the module and everything down there, and nobody will even know. So let's go ahead and get this pulled apart. I did go ahead and loosen it earlier. And then now I can just run a harness down through here. So the flex fuel harness will come with one end being unpinned. So this end is going to snap onto our injector, and this end you have to pin for the connector that will fit on your factory harness. So these are EV1 connectors, and the kit will come with just the connector part here. So you need to find out which end is power so you can pin it correctly. And pin number 1 is always power. So you see right here, that side is pin number 1. If we flip it over, we have pin number 2. So pin number 1, what I like to do is I'll see which side is number 1, and I'll do them all the same. So that's number 1. So facing up with the little notch here in the middle, when that notch is facing up, it is the left pin. So I'm going to go ahead and pin all of these the same way. So notch facing up, left pin, that's where the red wire goes on the harness. So that side is the power side. So I'm going to go ahead and plug all of those in and start running this harness. Alright, so for an example, we have this one here, notch is up. And these are directional, you'll have to turn it around to see which way it is. So it looks like it's going to click in on this part facing down. So red wire is going to go in on the left side. And you really want to try and slide both of these in evenly at the same time so you don't kink the wires, because they are a little stiff. And you're just going to slide that in until it clicks. Or sometimes it doesn't click. But it's going to lock in there, they won't come out. And there you are. So make sure evenly spaced, make sure you're not gonna jam it up whenever you go to plug it into the connector and the harness. And I'm gonna go ahead and do all of these, and they can all be done the same way. Okay, so all the connectors are on there. Now it's time to start routing our harness in. So this end has our connector for our flex sensor, so we're going to run this side over to the driver's side there. And I only do one side at a time, because what I like to do is, once I get all the lengths decided, I like to wrap these up in felt tape so it looks like a factory harness. And it helps, you know, not have any chafing or the harness rub against something. So that's there. I'm actually going to take that back out. We're going to run this underneath of this PCV hose here. And this is just my preference, but this one here that has the red insulation here, this is the one that's going to have power, and it's going to power the module. I like to have that one up front, nice and easy to get to in case I have any issues later. So we're going to go ahead and plug that one in. And then this one here is going to plug in to our factory harness. So you're just going to smush this down in here so it lays nice and flat and even. There's also this temperature sensor that you want to have close to the engine. That way it has the temperature of the fuel and the engine area, and that will help it adjust as well. So we're going to have this down here. Let's get another wire down here. And it doesn't matter which one of these goes to each injector. It does not matter at all, because each individual connector is triggered by that injector. So you can mix them up just as long as this two connectors go to the same cylinder. That's all that matters. They are not specific to one cylinder. All right, last one on this side. All right, so I am going to take this fuel line off just because I want to be able to tuck this harness down underneath there. I think it's going to fit much better that way. I try to hide all of this as much as possible just because it is kind of ugly whenever it is kind of hanging out all over the place. So just going to bunch that down there. And now the same thing on the other side. And a harness will come in two sections. This will be separate from the harness with the module. So this end will plug into the module harness. It just plugs right in. Like I said, it does not matter which wires go to which. You just plug them in. We're gonna lay this right over here, down in that hole. And now we'll just plug these in just like the other side. And if any of them don't want to plug in fairly easily, take a look in here and make sure that the pins are lined up. I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of a angle there and just kind of push them down into the center of the connector there so it lines up a little bit easier. Sometimes, for whatever reason, they don't want to center themselves very well, but then it should pop in and move on to the next one. Okay, now all these are plugged in. What I like to do is neaten this mess up here. So I like to grab this big mess. We're gonna make them all nice and neat. So I'm gonna pull all the slack out of it. I think I'm gonna pop this PCV line off here just to kind of tuck it underneath that as well. And then we'll grab this section. And anything at the engine bay, it's gonna be nice and tight and neat. And then I'm gonna wrap it with that tape. And on the 113Ks, you're not gonna be able to get these completely hidden. On the 156 and other models, there's a lot more room. And the connectors are a lot thinner, so they lay nice and flat, but I still try to do the best I can. And once these are nice and flat in there, I will zip tie these in. And I like to get their temperature sensor right along here in the fuel rail. And I'll zip tie that as well. I'll do a zip tie there. Get this tucked down in there nice and neat. And I think from here I will start wrapping and work our way around to the other side. So just grab yourself some nice felt tape. When you're done, it'll look just like a factory harness. Give this a few wraps. And once you get to the end, you're going to end up with a little bit of a mess here just because all the injectors are at different lengths, so it's going to bunch up here at the end. So there's not much you can do about it, but I like to try. Let me clean this up here. Makes it easier if you keep both ends of the harness separate. So you only have to do this once. So gently, I like to fold these down, kind of loop them. You don't want to pinch anything, just kind of fold them down a little bit so they lay nice and flat. And I'll kind of zip tie this at the end. At least helps me get a little bit more insulation on here. And I'll put a zip tie around this, and that's going to be tucked away. I'll trim the excess once we get done wrapping the other end of the harness. Lay this over here for now. This side, there's a little bit more room under the valve cover to tuck your connectors in, keep it nice and neat. So now that we have our harnesses ran in the direction we're going to keep them, we're going to make sure it fits in our little hole here. I think if I go ahead and clip this down, it's going to hold it there nicely for us. So I'm going to wrap these two harnesses together just because it looks nicer, just here at the end. So the last thing you have to worry about is this little ground wire here, other than plugging the module in when you're done. And what I like to do is utilize any factory ground point for that. So I did look and see there's one right here. So I'm just going to follow this trail down here. It's going to pop right over here. And I have plenty of room to reach where I'm going to put that module in there. So definitely a little bit of pre-planning is required before you start installing this. Like I said, the E's and CLS, there's a little bit more freedom is putting these in. The CL takes a little bit more creativity, but still manageable. I think I actually like this better because it's more hidden. So I'm going to grab our module, plug him in. We're going to stick him down in here. Get the relay box snapped down into position here. And we're going to follow this harness down along underneath these hoses. Make sure it's tucked in this nice insulation here so it doesn't get chafed and rubbed against anything. And now all I need is a 10mm. We can take that nut off. A little loop on there, tighten it down. All right, now we just put everything back together. So let's get our molding here. I'll take one peek at everything before we get the surge tanks back on. All right, let's take a look, make sure there's no kinks, anything rubbing against something. Maybe something's gonna get in the way of our surge tanks we put them on, but it looks like everything is nice and low and tucked in. This is the way I like to do it. If you look around, really, other than the ethanol sensor, you would have no idea that there's a flex kit on this. And that's the way I like it. Wires aren't hanging off, stretched over top the valve covers like I see them all the time. I can't tell you how many of these injector harnesses and the flex harnesses I see ruined because people are gonna snap down the factory air boxes and it pinches the harness inside of there. So make sure it's all tucked up against nice and tight against the fuel rail where it's nice and safe. So I'm gonna get these hoses back on here, get the surge tanks back on, and then we'll see how it looks all together. Let's take a look at these surge tanks on. Nice and clean, out of the way. This just tucks in here, nice. There's some factory foam around this, so no pinching, anything like that. Plenty of room for the air box to go through there. And this side looks good as well. Might be able to tuck this in here a little bit better for some final touches. But all together, really, like I said, other than this flex sensor right here, who would know?
All right, guys, this is Craig from Modern Masters reporting live at the CL55. So due to some microphone issues, we are using the Rode Wireless handheld microphone, reporting live. So it looks like Rusty had finished a few things on the FlexFuel CL55 build. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right, so he finished that. With that being done, we're going to talk about some E85. We're going to talk about the benefits. So, E85 from a gas station or from a jug is like running a race gas. It's higher octanes, like 114 and up octane, and it is like using 30% more fuel. The injectors are going to use more fuel, all that good stuff. Daniel, we're trying to record over here. Daniel, come here. We caught you. We called him live. Daniel, show him. This is Daniel. Come here, Batman. Sorry, I didn't mean to use your stage name. This is Batman, everybody. How you doing today, Batman?
I'm doing pretty good today. How about yourselves?
Hey, it's really good to see you after your heart surgery. What kind of heart surgery did you just have?
Well, they had to take out my aorta and they had to put a cow valve in me.
A cow valve. Wow, moo. So
Yeah.
do you like grass now a little bit better?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So, Daniel, what do you do here at Modern Masters?
Well, I'm the head janitorial stuff. I clean and I do what I can to help out.
Daniel's a dear friend of mine. He's got the autism. Give me a 5 for autism. We support autism. We love Daniel. Daniel, we love you, don't we?
Yes, you do.
Do you love... Go ahead.
Yes, you do. A lot.
Do you love your job here?
Yes, I do. And Craig, I'm looking forward to every year I come here. Every month, every day, and every year.
Awesome. Daniel works part-time. He just comes in here to help out, clean and sanitize everything, takes the trash out, all the good stuff. Do you have any words to say to the audience?
Let me tell you, if you have any problems with your vehicles, just come here to Modern Masters. Craig Kennedy and company will fix you up.
Well, you heard it here live, folks. Batman suggests you come to Modern Masters because it is clean, it is sanitary, and we will fix your vehicle right.
And we are very friendly, too.
We're very friendly. So, awesome. Good job, Daniel. You should be our new spokesman.
I think I could.
Awesome. Back to work.
All right, thank you. Thanks, y'all, and have a good day now.
Perfect. So, back to E85. Ethanol is amazing, but there's things you want to keep in mind when you're doing that. Ethanol can be dirty. If you pull the intake off, supercharger off, and you see the valves and everything, it'll be sticky and smell like corn almost and all that good stuff. You're gonna need to clean that out or run a injector cleaner, valve cleaner, all that stuff in between running flex fuel and pump gas. And then also, you have to keep in mind how much more fuel you're gonna burn. 30% more fuel. You're gonna need 30% more injector, 30% more fuel pump. All that stuff to appropriately run the same amount of ethanol as you would 93, but you are getting that knock prevention from it having a higher octane, you know, the burn efficiency, all that good stuff. So yes, the 55 with the giant VRP Whipple 2.9 Gen 4. It has the 1000cc injectors, 1000cc. I tuned the ECU. It's tuned up by yours truly and a mix of VTech. Shout out to Vano and VTech hooking us up daily. We got the belts on here. They're green for flex fuel. We want people to know when we pop the hood, we run the ethanol compliant belts. So there's that. Rusty did a beautiful job. I don't even know where the kit is. I know it's somewhere in here. And then you want to check out the app. Let me pull the app out. The app is amazing. It's on your smartphone. You can download it for iOS or Android. So it'll look like this. The app will look like this, and then you'll turn your Bluetooth on. All right, so Rusty put key on power there. You immediately see the E flex fuel, and then you'll have this come up, and it will show, while the car is running, it will show duty cycle right here of the injectors, which is huge because this is how I find out if I have enough injector. And you'll want to keep that number below 80% to be safe, under like max watt, max boost, all that stuff. Keep it under 80% duty cycle, and then 10% ethanol is currently in the system, and that shows you right there. That is 93 fuel he pumped in this car, and it already has 10% ethanol. So you're already going to control the injectors a little bit better just with regular 93 in. And then once we put E85 in from the pump, it'll range from 49 to, I've seen 89%. So that's why it's good that this actively controls the injectors with whatever fuel ethanol content it sees. And there's a bunch of other good stuff on this app that you can check out. You know, you can do a ton of things, but I'll save that for you guys to check out. And I think that's it. I think it's time to wrap this segment up. Rusty, go and fire it up with our new tune and 1000cc injectors, and we can hear this beast fire up. That's pretty good for first startup. Alright guys, that wraps up this video. We hoped you liked Rusty installing the flex fuel kit. We hoped you liked how clean it came out. We hope you learned something. We want you to be able to do this at home. And this is a very easy kit. If you're not comfortable working with fuel and all that stuff, I wouldn't advise it, but it still is possible if you are. So, we hoped you liked this video, and if you did, give it a big thumbs up.
Share with your friends.
And subscribe. And most importantly, someone send us new microphones, because this is going to be really hard to work on cars and report live. So, right? All right, guys, see you on the next one. And I'm back. So, and this is going to be the end credits, hopefully. I don't know, but I will tell you this. We're about to be podcasting it, talking about all the builds, all kinds of cool stuff. So I hope you guys watch at the end of all of our videos, because we're going to have sneak peeks of other builds going on. I'm going to start trying to incorporate that and put more time into this. So I think that's it. Is that it?
For today.
All right, we'll get here. You get a 10-second thing. Go ahead, Rusty, go.
So I'm thinking about branching off, starting my own pizza shop, and just leaving all this behind me. Stay tuned for next week.
Yeah, not happening. Not happening. But he does need to make me pizza this weekend, because he kills it in, what is that, like a smoker thing?
Yeah, like a little like pizza oven.
Yeah, pizza oven and a smoker thing. So good. So good. But yeah, till next time.